I was a member of the Italian mafia from the late 70s to the early 90s. Ask your questions. Which of the 5 families did you mainly work for? A small branch of the Lucchese family. What does a small branch mean? There's the family, and then there are offshoots of the crew, which are run by people known as capo regimes. What is something you'll never forget from your time in the mafia? How easy it was to do whatever I wanted. How did you end up in the Italian mafia, and why did you want to leave? The reason was that as a child I was bullied for having Irish roots. And I left because I didn't want my daughter to have a father who was constantly threatened with death or prison. Does your daughter know that you were in the mafia? Both my daughter and my son know. You were a made man. How did you eventually get out of the business? Did you have to move, change your name and so on? I was arrested for a shooting in Bensonhurst. After that, the FBI offered me to become an informant in exchange for a reduced sentence. I refused, and I spent the late 90s in prison. Many other mobsters knew that I refused to become an informant, so when I got out of prison, they didn't object when I asked to leave the family for good. Which family was it? You're not a full-blooded Italian and you weren't made. Why, as an associate, did you have to leave the family? It was the Lucchese family. I'm 25% Irish and 75% Italian. I left the mafia so that my daughter wouldn't grow up with a father who could be killed or sent to prison at any moment. In your opinion, which mafia movie is the most realistic? Most movies can't really capture the true criminal side of the mafia, but I would say that the creators of Goodfellas did an excellent job in Daisam. They clearly showed in the film the downfall and paranoia of a mobster, which any mafia member could face if they found themselves in the exact situation Henry did. What is the most brutal thing you've done while working for the mafia? I deliberately broke a man's knees with a truck. Did you hit him or actually run over him? Did you truly enjoy causing people that much pain? A few of my friends held him down while I ran over him. I didn't get any pleasure from hurting someone. It was strictly business. Damn, that's harsh. So did you just leave him there? What did you do after that? Did you ever at any point feel any genuine sympathy for the people you hurt? We left him there, but there were always other crew members behind us who knew exactly how to take care of them. They would either take the injured to the hospital or get rid of the bodies. After that incident, we took the truck back to our clubhouse and divided up the cargo. We sat him down so that his legs were pressed firmly to the ground while I drove over him. I actually felt a bit of pity for the guy, but I got angry because he simply didn't want to give us his truck. Buddy, that's useful info. Want to dress stylishly and affordably? Then I recommend a great sneaker and clothing store, Hustle.rf. These guys sell replicas of famous brands that are no different from the originals in terms of quality and materials. They have over 5,000 sneakers and clothing items in stock at reasonable prices. Rare, exclusive models that you can't buy anywhere else right now, or you'd have to pay 3 times as much. On Hustle's website, you'll find only real customer reviews, and what's really important, they offer free shipping and payment upon delivery. If the item doesn't fit, you can simply return it. For our subscribers, Hustle is offering the promo code UPVOTE, which gives you a 30% discount on all products. Thousands of people have already shopped using our promo code. Don't overpay, spend your money wisely. The link is in the description. Let's continue. Have you talked about this with your family? If so, was it just about general things or did you go into detail? If I were your son, I would ask you about absolutely everything. If not, why not? Why didn't you become an informant? What was it like for you in prison? Did the other inmates treat you well or badly? I answered my children's questions in detail because I believed that my son wouldn't follow in my footsteps if I spoke openly with him about what happened to me. I refused to become an informant because I knew the whole process in detail and realized that if I wanted to get out of the business, I couldn't be an informant. The other inmates didn't bother me. I minded my own business and they minded theirs. How long were you in prison? Were you convicted of attempted murder? Do you think the police are still watching you? Are they wiretapping you? I have a parole officer assigned to me, but he knows that I'm already old. I have a family and I've been out of the game for a long time. As for my charges, 1 count was attempted murder, 2 counts of battery, 4 counts of assault, and 3 counts of extortion. I was eventually found guilty on 2 counts of battery, 1 serious count of attempted murder, and 2 additional counts of extortion, which led me to spend 10 long years in prison. If something unfortunate were to happen to you right now, do you truly believe that your old friends would still be there to support you? For example, if you became a victim of a crime or something like that, are you still in touch with your old crew? Yes, although most of them have also left the business. You mentioned that you couldn't be made a member of the family because you're part Irish. How do they check that? I know there are DNA tests now, but back then I guess it wasn't so easy to do them. Back then, everyone knew everyone. They knew who was Italian and who wasn't. You apparently got involved in the business right after the whole Henry Hill story, didn't you? Wasn't that in the 70s? If so, what did the whole story with Paulie, Henry, and those guys look like from the inside? I met Henry on one occasion in the mid-70s, and I happened to have Paul Vario's number. What did you like most and least about your job? When I was just a young kid, I was known as a poor Italian-Irish brat. So when I started working for the mafia, I liked that the kids from the neighborhood and the older guys started to respect me. The worst part of the job was always having to worry about informants, about who you could trust and who you couldn't. Is that why you quit? Because of the anxiety? And also, what are you doing now? Yeah, and besides, I already had a daughter by then, so I didn't want her to grow up with a criminal for a father. Now I work with my old friend at his Italian supermarket in a small town in New Jersey. Do you regret becoming part of that lifestyle? Have you ever thought about going back to it? I would never in my life go back to that lifestyle, but I also wouldn't trade my past for anything in the world. Which part of The Godfather do you think is better, the first or the second? I like the first one because it reminds me of my wedding, and my grandson is a Marine. Are you acquainted with Michael Franzese? He said that Joe Pesci managed to portray a mafia member in the most natural way. Do you agree with him? There is no average mafia member, but in every particular club there's always one mafioso that everyone refers to as pazzo, which means crazy. I have never in my life seen a truly more accurate depiction of a pazzo than Pesci. Did you ever drive a Cadillac? Did your crew deal in drugs? What was your rank, capo, soldier, or something else? I wasn't an official made man, so I couldn't climb up the ranks. But I did have a 1977 Cadillac Eldorado. How much money did you personally make back then? I took 35% from every heist. I meant your annual income. Like, was it in the 6 figures or 7 figures? I'm just genuinely curious to compare it to the average standard 9-to-5 job income. My income varied from year to year, but I made about 70 to 80,000 a year. If you convert that to today's money, it would be over 600,000 now. What is your favorite pasta? Confusion. Have you ever participated in or seen how a sporting event is rigged? I've never been involved in anything like this, but if I was told there was some kind of match fixing somewhere, I would definitely bet on the game. Why did you decide to speak out now? My son saw how much I enjoyed telling stories to him and his sisters, so he gave me his account on this site so I could share them with other people too. How many criminal cases like the one with the truck happened? How much time in each case was spent on planning, meetings, and daily double checks and discussions to make sure everything went smoothly, and so on? Well, you could just sit by the highway every day and hijack trucks. As for major projects, a full 85% of the time was spent on preparation, 10% on the actual job itself, and 5% on covering our tracks. And tell me, did you wear a pinky ring? I did. Cool. Is that a mandatory rule for those who work for the mafia? That is only if you want people to know about it. If I need to maintain a strictly low profile or arrange a deal in a crowded place, I would never be seen wearing a formal suit and a ring. What was it that usually ended up getting people into serious trouble with the mafia? Do you think you were ever close to becoming a victim of the mafia yourself? I think the family considered having me killed in prison. At least, when they found out that an FBI agent had personally approached me with an offer to cooperate in exchange for a reduced sentence. Do you still keep in touch with any of your old friends from your past life? A friend and I own and operate an Italian supermarket in the state of Jersey. How does someone leave the mafia? Can you do this through official channels or do you just stop showing up completely? Usually you need to discuss it with the capo regime. Tell me, who is the most famous gangster you've ever met or worked with? Back in the mid-70s, I met the notorious Henry Hill. You met Henry Hill when you were only 10 years old? Did you know who he was and what he did? I think I was a bit older, but yes, I was very young and I asked to meet him. He was about my age when he started working for the mafia, and he was also an Italian-Irishman. Of course, I knew what he was involved in. I just shook his hand, introduced myself, and that was it. Why aren't there any African Americans in the mafia? The mafia only accepts men of Italian descent. How old are you? 57, but I'll turn 58 next Sunday. Are you married? I'm happily married to the most beautiful woman in the world. It seems like the mafia has declined over the last 20 or 30 years. Is that really the case? And what led to its decline? Was it harder to run a gang in 1924 than in the 70s and 80s because of modern technology and cameras? Definitely. That's exactly why most mobsters are now on Staten Island, staying behind the scenes and not standing out as much as they used to. Why do mafia groups even exist? It's like a bunch of kids running around the neighborhood picking on little Timmy. I find it funny that mobsters were only tough when they were armed or when they had a group with them. I'd love to see some wise guy walk up to Mike Tyson or someone like him. Imagine him trying to shake Tyson down for money or pulling some other childish stunt like the mafia used to do. I think gangs are ridiculously absurd crap, and outside of their gang, each of those guys is just an ordinary piece of shit. You're absolutely right. The mafia originated as a private army in Sicily, hired by peasants. Over time, it grew so much that it started extorting money from the very peasants who had hired them. When the mafia came to America, it was run by swindlers and hustlers who used the title of mafioso to instantly command respect. Thank you very much for watching. In the comments below the video, let us know what you think of this thread. And don't forget to check out our other videos. Hugs, bye.